Because you can nurse and dump too. Trust me, I was figuring out all kind of strategies because I needed to have my wine.
Oh no. She perfected that around like our second child. She was like, no, I got this I got it down to a science.
I love it. I'm glad y'all are enjoying it. It's a good, just easy kind of wine.
No, it's actually like the right
for both of you.
It's the right body for me. Where because like I was telling you before, it's like I don't like things too sweet kind of thing. So it's like it's it's like it's neutral enough where you get your little fruit flavors, but it's not overbearing with the sweetness.
Right.
I appreciate it.
Yay! I'm glad it worked out. Okay, I'm trying to get us live on Facebook. Here we go. Oh, today I have, you have those days you're just not getting much accomplished.
No, I get it.
Damn, it's like I'm in a daze. I mean, when I tell you I straight up forgot, like I'm just like, dude. I mean, I didn't forget, but I didn't know how late it was. The day has gotten away from me. I don't even know what's happening in the world to talk about.
What's up?
I said I don't even know what's happening in the world to talk about.
I only have one.
We're about to start. We should probably be on. If you look, we're probably.
Yeah, I think we are now. All I'm saying is like I only have one thing on my mind right now because I wrote about it today.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, I want to tell you to post that on.
By the way,
the links anymore.
That offline. I tried to. Something was happening with the login.
Okay.
I couldn't actually find the login link, so I don't know if the page was acting up or something like that. But I couldn't actually find the spot to log in because I was trying to post it.
I was gonna say because people want to talk about it. Hold on, are we live?
We are. We are.
All right, I can't see anything. All right. Okay, so we're here for our weekly catch up. I was just telling you, like, to me, I don't feel like a whole lot has happened this week, but we do need to talk about a couple things. And you just go ahead and introduce that topic. Why I drink my protein shake.
I mean, listen, R.I.P. Herman Cain. Like,
yes.
This is nuts. Like, all right, I wrote about this today on my site, and I'm gonna put it on Randy's site too. But
tell them what your site is too, because I know people wonder. We have to tell them every time.
I can't be famous.com. That's simple enough. I can't be famous.com. Mm-hmm. And people. By the way, people have asked me what that means and why I titled it that. Mm-hmm. So basically, long story less long. My homeboy's wife was like a PR person, and around the time that I started the blog, I was trying to find, or I had the idea to start the blog, and I was trying to find a name about it, and she was basically like, somebody like you couldn't be famous because if you were, you just act like a fool. And I'm like, you're absolutely correct. That's exactly what I'm naming it. So that has been I can't be famous. But yeah.
Okay.
So I wrote about today about how bipartisanship is why Herman Cain lost his life. And for some people, that's like a tough pill to swallow, but it's like, no, like I want it to be as plain as that.
Yeah.
This battle between left and right literally cost him his life. Because
absolutely.
Like if you look at the timeline, right? Because first of all, we talked about before in another video when Trump announced that he was having that rally in Tulsa, Oklahoma, which he was trying to originally have it on Juneteenth, and everybody was like, dog, what the fuck? You're going to have a rally at the site of the Black Wall Street Massacre on Juneteenth? Like, yo, come on, bro. Knock it off, man. So he delayed it a day like he was really doing something for people.
Right.
But, so June 20th is when that rally happened. By June 29th, Herman Cain caught the virus or got diagnosed with the virus. Mm-hmm. Now, he was one of the people that was in that building, not socially distancing, not wearing a mask, and even in the lead up to the rally, he literally tweeted, mask mandates aren't, in action for this rally because people are fed up.
Yeah,
so not only did you and in the rally itself, there were no cues to socially distance. I think about 9 people on Trump's staff caught the coronavirus around that same time too. It was just a fucking hodgepodge of nonsense.
Yeah, it was a petri dish.
And it's like, so now you fast forward, so about 9 days, and I know I saw people saying, you can't definitively say that he caught it there. Listen, man, I can't definitively say anything. But there are things called educated guesses. And if I'm going to guess that this man caught it anywhere, it's going to be in the place where there's no social distancing and no mask, and a bunch of staff members or people that he's there for have it too.
Right. And inside. Like, basically, everything they tell you not to do.
Don't do that.
They're like, look, if you don't want to get to Corona, one, be outside. They were inside. Don't be in a place with a whole bunch of people. They're in a freaking stadium with a bunch of people. Wear a mask. None of them are wearing masks. Socially distanced. None of them was socially distanced. So it was literally almost like they were like, just, you know what? It's like a death sentence. Like they almost asked for it, but they're so riding on this arrogance. But you know me, I always got to take it to on the black side. I was thinking about it this morning. He was so desperate to be accepted, right? So, because, you know, to me, I was like, you know, there's always that you know, that black person that you see that is always the only black person you typically in the crowd. And it's like Diamond and Silk, his fellow crazy ass, you know, Trump supporters. They can't just be regular. They got to do the most, right? So, you know, someone like Herman Cain had to be in Tulsa because they have to continuously prove like, yeah, I might be black, but I'm down. I'm with you. But what was interesting to me when you looked at the conference, the black people were sitting together.
They were all in a pocket.
All in a pocket alone, like still segregated. Like, yes, they have their blacks. Like, you know, Trump says, I have my black. And he pointed to the guy back in the day doing his thing.
Look at my African Americans. Look at my African Americans.
Yeah, he did. It was his African American. But they're not really, there's not even any sort of inclusion there. Like, they're just there to be like check marks. Like, the true sense of what people, like a lot of people want black people to be like, let's check our marks so we feel good. We can say we have black people, but in no way are you really, really included with us. Because they had their own, it was like, was there a sign that said the African American?
Because I remember I think he posted that picture of all of them. It says like, hey, I'm not the only one here. Look at all the people, all the black people that are here to support you. I was like, all right, look, whatever, do whatever it is. Do whatever, I don't care. My thing is, and the greater point of the article that I wrote was, this party allegiance is so toxic that people are willing to just, I mean, literally put themselves in harm's way to just maintain this allegiance. Like, it's like, bro, bro, how did you end up in a place where you're now sick because of party allegiance? It's like, I'm just at a loss about how something like health became a bipartisan issue. I don't understand like how something like, hey, we just want you to be safe became a bipartisan issue where like we can stand on different sides of the aisle about safety. It's like, what the fuck is wrong with you guys? Like, it's like,
how wearing a mask became a political statement.
Wearing a mask literally inspired people to get guns and run up in government buildings. It's like, I don't like, and the thing about it is though, the wildest part is you'll see them protesting with signs saying, basically using words like being oppressed and et cetera, et cetera. I'm just like, this is your oppression? like an N95 mask, a cloth mask, something that doctors wear when they're operating on you every single time they open you up in the ER. That's your oppression. That's your oppression?
And
I thought they holding up a sign that says "Bar Lives Matter." I don't even know what that means. Bars have lives,
right?
Like, but it's like the greater like, and then this party allegiance that evolved into a different conversation that I was having with my wife, where we were talking about Ted Cruz. It was like completely different subject, but it's the same idea.
Right.
During the campaign, Donald Trump insinuated that Ted Cruz's father was involved with the JFK assassination And then he went on and said that Ted Cruz's wife was ugly. Ted Cruz now stands on the front lines defending things that Trump does against anybody. And I'm just like, I refuse to be that ingrained with any team that I'm willing to give somebody. Listen, Yo Mama jokes used to cause fights on the street, like
Absolutely.
fights, like
Absolutely.
Like you could get punched in your mouth by just saying, like, just a simple phrase, "Your mother" could get you punched in the mouth.
That is so true.
So now all of a sudden, this man can make fun of your father and your wife, but because of party allegiance, you're still willing to adhere to whatever people are saying. And it's like, I'm not just pointing at the right, because the left is the same way too. I mean, which is, it's like.
But we've never had a bully.
Trump is just different than everybody.
If he's nothing else, that's what I'm saying. He is a bully, right? I mean, he and I am shocked at how weak people are. So if you can't say, you know, your wife is ugly, and people will just run, like you say, like it doesn't matter what he says. People are so desperate not to be bullied by him and to be under his good graces that they will just accept anything. I mean, it's funny because, you know, on the page, on the Randy B Facebook page, you know, I'll post an article and we always have the trolls coming up, which is, okay, I know I keep asking this, and this is something I really want to know. You know, I'm a social scientist. I want to know what the hell is happening. Do any Black people out there, please let me know, like in the comments or something. Do you guys go to like the Aryan Nation, like pages and just like make comments? Like,
not at all. Do
you go to like, I'm so confused by why these people will come on the page to say something. Like, I was like, I don't think, and I don't, you know, we're not monolithic like we keep saying. All of us are different, but I have never heard of a Black person that says, you know what, I'm gonna go on this page that I know they don't like Black people, or I know that they're completely against what I'm against, and just agitate, just write comments.
But you know what though? It's sad to say, but that's not even native to just them. Like, for example, like during this week, I wrote 2 different posts about domestic violence, right? About how, like, I don't want to hear, like, there were 2 situations where it's like, if you heard about the Megan Thee Stallion, Tory Lanez situation, and then on, even though I don't watch the show, Marriage Boot Camp, where it was like the Tahiri and Vado, where there were 2 separate situations involving domestic violence. And basically my point was, I don't want to hear any excuses justifying any of these actions from the men. I don't want to hear anybody justify shooting somebody. I don't want to hear anybody justifying grabbing a woman. None of that shit. I don't want to hear. But without fail, on both of those posts, people got in the comments to rebut what I'm saying. So it's, I don't know if it's just people's need to be contrarians, if they really believe the shit that they're saying. If they just want,
people do believe it, but I'm talking about, you have a site that's going to bring all sorts of people, so you're going to have disagreeing opinions. Like, that makes sense to me. I don't get where people go to a site, right? Like, if I'm vegan, if I'm a staunch vegan, why am I going to the Meat Packer Society and just, because I'm not going to change anybody's mind.
You're killing the animals, bro. You're killing the animals,
right?
Man.
Like I'm not going to change any minds there, right? Like, these people are who they are. I'm who I am. I'm not going to change their minds. So why am I on there? Like, I don't get it. I'm sure there's some reasoning. I would love to understand it, but I'm telling you, it's interesting. Like,
I also feel like part of it is, and I can't 100% confirm that Mike Tyson actually said this, but anyway, it's I think part of it is people feel comfortable saying things behind a computer or behind the safety of their phones. Oh, yeah. And I remember Mike Tyson said something, it's like, people feel that comfortable because they're not used to getting punched in the mouth.
And I love it. I posted that, right.
Like, you're absolutely right, Mike. You're absolutely right. People just feel comfortable saying things like that because they know that there's no retribution, there's no, get back for them. So they can just stay behind the safety of their Wi-Fi and spew a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah, I guess I just don't get why. Like, I don't get why they'd want to. That's all I'm saying. Like, but okay, but anytime you write something that, I was making the point of, anytime you write something that mentions Trump, that brings out the trolls on the page. Like, I literally will avoid articles just because here they come a marching if you say something. So in light of Cain's death, you know, you had some people coming out and, you know, speaking, you know, the trolls coming. And that was just quite annoying. I was just wondering about that.
Yeah, no, I even saw the article on Fox News where it was like Fox News, they, once again, back to the bipartisanship. So it's like, I mean, it's on both sides, where, of course, Chris Cuomo gets on CNN and points to the rally as, you know, a potential starting point for Herman Cain. So then Fox News, the headline is Chris Cuomo blanks Trump for Herman Cain. And I'm just like, so you guys are right back to what we've been. He's dead. He's dead. He's dead. Like, it's fucking insane. It is insane that you guys are still finding ways to try and spin this. He's literally dead. He lost his life basically from allegiance. And it's like allegiance to, listen, I'm
allegiance to nothing.
I'm not dying for the I'm not dying for the team unless it's I'm really dying for the people. I'm not dying for the team. Like
no. Especially off of no reason, because I just went to some party, like, let me show them my support. That, you know, I wonder, because they said that Cain said when he got diagnosed that he knew it was going to be a tough fight. So he knew that he may not survive the diagnosis. And so what I am so curious about is, did he have regret, right? Did he say to himself, okay, maybe this was a bad decision? Did he look around and see who was there to support him by his bedside? I'm really curious about those final days, because he knew that he may not come out and survive that fight.
And ultimately, what was it for?
Right. You know, because we've all like done some shit where you're in a relationship or something and you give way more, and then at the end of it, you're like, man, I gave up. I messed up my credit, you know, or something, whatever. I messed up my credit for that person, and I've ended up with nothing. That's one thing, but how must he have felt? I would feel that he's sitting in there knowing he's probably going to die for some people that I would not say, you know, it was very striking to me. You know, here we are watching all, like yesterday, it was such a moving service for John Lewis, Honorable, you know, John Lewis. And I was like, you know that Cain is not going to get that. And he's not going to have the love and the allegiance and the accolades. And, you know, how many people are really crying him a river for a party that he gave his so much for, right? You know, he never reached like a herodom or anything.
And the thing is, it's sad, because like if you actually do research on him, like he's really accomplished a lot. Like
he was the man.
He really accomplished a lot.
He was the first and only Black CEO ever made, you know.
And the thing is too, like not even specific to just Herman Cain. I feel like a lot of people who have accomplished a lot in their careers just took on the mantle of the current administration to their own detriment. Like, listen, we could talk all day about the fuckery of Jeff Sessions. Like, he's been doing a bunch of shit for decades. Like, I remember when Coretta Scott King basically wrote a letter saying, hey, don't fuck with that guy. He's a racist. So, yeah, we understand. But that doesn't take away from the fact that he's an accomplished person. Now, he ran for his old seat and lost because of the stench that followed him. And it's like William Barr has been in this job before and didn't have any of these questions about his ability.
Right.
Now he gets to this current administration and people are just wondering, what are you doing to your reputation? What are you doing to everything? And it constantly begs the question, same thing, Herman Cain. You've accomplished a ton as a Black man in America. But then now in your latter years, you're defined by your allegiance to this party, this administration. And it's like, and I don't understand why. Like, why are you willing to basically sully everything that you've worked for?
Right. And what makes you, and I'll say this, I don't understand that kind of allegiance, right? Because I'm trying to think, you know, my love for my children, that's the, you know, that deep love, you know. Like, are you not able to say, I'm down for this person, but this is wrong? Like, I'm down for that. Like, I'm going to go to this. I'm down for Trump. And you know what? He had every right to be down for whoever he wants to be down for, right? But I'm not going to go to the daggone rally. Or if I go, I'm going to wear a mask. Like, what makes it where you're like, no, I I got to do everything that this person tells me to do. There's no thinking at all. Like the power that he has, this man, over people, and particularly people like you say, like Cain, who has accomplished so much, is mind blowing.
And I want to be, clear, because a lot of times when people talk about Trump, they think you're downplaying the Republican Party as a whole. It's like I don't care. I don't care. Like, because honestly, I don't care at all if you're a Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, whatever. Because I'm actually really surprised that more Republicans don't just come out and be like, "Dog, what the fuck are you doing?"
Absolutely.
And it's like the very few that do are either not running for office again, they end up losing their seat, or you're like Mitt Romney, where they just don't pay attention to Mitt Romney for just months at a time, just because he might say something that's detrimental to the president, and then all of a sudden they just basically cut Mitt Romney's mic off. It's like, hey, just go over there now.
No, that's why I said the level of power. I mean, it's very much like a dictatorship, and it's scary, Bo.
I mean, shit, of course it is. He's out here talking about possibly delaying the election.
Right, which I don't think he can do. Like, it has to be like, yeah, I mean, he can't do. Like, he says crazy shit.
No, he can't. He can't. Like, he can't do it. And the thing is, it's funny because he goes on this irrational rant constantly about mail-in voting, right? Where, once again, facts show that there is nothing fraudulent about this process. But then it was also interesting because Joe Scarborough, who was a longtime Republican,
right, then, yeah,
broke it down how mail-in voting is responsible for a lot of Republicans getting into their seat. So it's just like you're literally spitting on your own chances by something that's not even backed by facts. So it's like, what are you doing?
But that man doesn't listen to facts. I mean, just like the whole science, like what's going on, like you said with COVID, like Fauci, like he thinks he knows better. I mean, the arrogance, I've never seen an ego and an arrogance like this. I have one question. This is completely off the subject.
Absolutely.
But it strikes me. What the hell? What's going on? Why can't there be an arrest with Breonna Taylor? Like, what? And first of all, let me just, as much as people, were mad at Oprah and the Gayle thing for the interview, I got to give her respect that for 20 years, Oprah always has had her face on the cover of her magazine, and she put Breonna's on the cover.
On it.
I thought that was like, I got to give mad respect for that move. I mean, people can say what they want to say, but that was pretty significant in my opinion.
I mean, because it gives it. I mean, granted, it's a popular topic amongst people like us on social media, but it still gives it a platform that her story didn't have.
It widens it. Regardless, she touches so many people, right, and such a diverse group. That was a move. But I'm confused because it's so talked about. Wouldn't there even be pressures? The AG, I know, was at his engagement party. Mm-hmm. Black AGs marrying a white woman. Not that, but
do what you do, right? Yeah.
Right, and but it just seems like the pressure just is so much there that he would. And the FBI is involved in investigating it. It has been. So because I'm like, am I missing? Is there an article that lays out some stuff of why they aren't arrested, that I'm missing something outside of the fact that they're just cops? I mean, what the fuck? Help me.
Okay, so I'm sorry, people. So if you need to attack me, you can attack me. I'm gonna start by saying motherfuckers should be arrested.
Right.
That's clear. But maybe it's just the fact that I'm married to a lawyer and I talk about legal shit and stuff all the time.
Right. That's why I'm asking legal.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem. I mean, yes, they got rid of the no-knock warrant.
After. Right.
The thing is, though, at the time that they went in, what they did was technically legal. Then again, when you talk about things being technically legal, that doesn't always mean that they're fucking right. And a lot of times, like
slavery was legal.
Right. So saying something is legal doesn't mean it's right. I'm just saying by the letter of the law.
Okay.
It's technically legal. So them running up in her house didn't violate anything. There was a clear violation of human rights, basic decency, et cetera, et cetera. But according to the law, they didn't violate any rules. So then you compound that with the fact that they see this black man, even though he had a legal right to have that gun, because I don't know these motherfuckers in my house, I have a legal right to do that. They just look at that and say, he's got a weapon, boom, 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 let's just start shooting. And then, because listen, you can go back to Amadou Diallo.
Yeah.
Amadou Diallo literally had a wallet. A wallet. And the thing is, though, and once again, like my wife was telling me about how she learned about that case when she was in law school. Because if you look at it too, everybody knows that like there was a bullet hole in the bottom of Amadou Diallo's foot, meaning they shot him some more after he was on the ground. The problem is, with all the gunfire that they started, when things start ricocheting, these dummies don't realize that it's their own bullets ricocheting back. So according to the law, they think they're being shot at, which justifies their fear. So an innocent man could die and nobody gets in trouble for fucking anything. And that's the thing. But see, when people talk about shit about like, you know, either defunding the police or changing certain rules, is that just like, there needs to be, we need to be able to pull away that idea of I feared for my life, because
as long as that is able to be used for defense, the black person is always going to
because it blew my mind when my wife explained to me that their fear for their life doesn't necessarily have to be based on actual events. All you have to do is convince somebody that you were actually in fear regardless of what was happening around you, and then that's enough to justify that, well, hey, things didn't go the way they should have, but he actually was scared in this moment, so then that justifies every bad fucking decision he made after that.
And so, if so many white people are fearful of black people, then we are always seen as, what is the word? We will always become a victim. We're always seen as somebody to be, you know, scared of. We're always seen as a perpetrator.
But the reason why it's always so infuriating that excuse always flies is because you then turn around, you see plenty of situations where miraculously you guys aren't scared at all. So you mean to tell me y'all go to pick up Dylan Roof at that South Carolina church and you're not scared? He just killed 9 people.
They're not scared because he's white. Blackness is...
No, exactly. Which is like, he just killed 9 people in here. You're not scared? You're not like, so in that situation, you're not scared. Mm-hmm. But then you take somebody like Philando, who tells you I have a legal firearm. You tell him to go get your wallet. He goes to motion against his wallet, and then you shoot him anyway. But you're not scared when you go pick up the guy in Colorado who shot up the movie theater.
Right.
So this whole idea of fear and
how do you change that?
It's so simple and not simple at all. The simplicity of it is motherfuckers got to get in trouble.
Right. Like, this is what I want to tell people is, and this is what I do. This is how I make my money. Is I go in and I talk to people about, you know, being accepting, creating places of belonging, and, you know, diversity, equity, inclusion. That's my thing, right? But straight up, and this is the truth, that someone talked to me about, they're doing this whole program at San Francisco Police Department and things like that. I was like, I can't train people not to be non-fearful of black people. And I said, and when people are selling y'all that's bullshit. Y'all have got to make it where they pause before they make a mistake and kill a black person, where they know there is a possibility that the consequences of me doing this will not be something that I will like, because it's going to take a while for us. I can't, in a training class, change somebody's complete bias. I can't do that. Now, the person can do that. I may be able to strike a person that says, you know what, I want to make a change in my life today. And the chances of that happening you might get 1 out of 50. But those other 49, they have to say, it will hurt me. It will cause great consequence to me if I were to decide to kill someone without even thinking about it, like it's no big deal, because they've never suffered any consequence. People, they haven't even thought about it. It doesn't matter. So they don't have to think. You have to make it where it's personally hurtful to people to kill Black people, or not be fair to, or not fairly arrest Black people, or it has to be where there are some checks and balances in place.
To show just how much of a pass people get, it's like you can go look at things statistically. So like if you take all of the police murders in America, just all of them, 97% of the time, absolutely nothing will happen.
Oh, right? I know.
2% of the time, or rather, of that remaining 3%, 2% will actually be charged with something and then get acquitted. And then there's that 1% that actually gets found guilty of anything. So you're literally talking about 1 in 100. And it's never, and if you even look at those consequences, it's not like people are found guilty of like capital murder or something along those lines. You might catch a manslaughter even though you shot somebody like 80 times or something. So it's not even like the harshest sentence that you could get. So 1% of the time, people are actually found guilty of anything regarding deaths related to police.
And the country is so dedicated to protecting these people that when there's a fine, when they say, okay, the police officer didn't get in trouble, but the family sued, a civil suit, and let's say they won a certain amount, the taxpayers, you are paying for it.
Right, so, and it's not coming from the top profit.
I mean, take their pension. Take something where they're like, let me just pause for a second and decide if this is worth it. Like if I knew, and I consider myself a fairly honest person, I could just take $500 out of some account and I wouldn't get caught. There's a 1% chance that I would get, caught. If I got caught, something would happen to me. I'm gonna go ahead and grab that $500 every time. And there are no repercussions. And it's funny because people are mad. They're saying, why do y'all keep videotaping when these racist things happen against us? Not murder and things, but when we're accosted at grocery stores and things, the things that happen to us all the time now, we've started taping. I was like, just the consequence of being embarrassed is at least something, because we're not protected by the police. We're not, Americans don't protect us. So we have to make it where public shame. We're very creative in finding ways to help ourselves as best as possible. So I said, because there's got to be a consequence to make people stop bad behavior. We're just not going to stop because people are good people.
It's not even just that. Like, we film things because you fucking didn't believe us. Like we've been telling you things been happening for years upon years, decades upon decades. You simply didn't believe anything that we fucking said. So now we still don't. No. So now it turns into, okay, it goes from these things weren't happening at all to, no, you guys are misinterpreting what's happening here. So
they always say, I want to see the whole tape. We don't know what happened before or what happened afterwards. I want to see the whole thing. You can't. Let me tell you something. People who don't want to see won't see.
People still said that about George Floyd, and I'm like, so you need to see what happened before somebody had his knee on his neck for 10 minutes.
Yeah,
that's what you needed to see. And it's funny. It's funny too because like there's a meme, floating around social media too, where it says, I don't know who needs to hear this, but police aren't supposed to execute people if they're guilty either. And right. I'm just like, yeah, that's not their job. That's not their job. That's not their job. That's what the court is for. You don't even give them a chance. If somebody's guilty of something, you don't even give them a chance to actually go to court and then actually be convicted of anything. You just I don't know that this might be a dated reference. People don't even know what I'm talking about probably. There's an old movie, Judge Dredd, where they just go around. I think it was like Sylvester Stallone. He was just going around. I was like, no, they are the judge, jury, and executioner. They just go, take their guns, kill everybody. That's not how police work in America.
That's how it's supposed to work.
That's not how this is supposed to work.
But listen, we know we need police reform. But can I just say, I cannot stand the slogan, defund the police. I know what it means because I read, right? But what people need to understand is like most people don't read, and when they hear defund the police, it doesn't make sense to them, and it comes up with a whole different meaning of it. So I'm like, they need to change that term.
You know why that's an issue is because listen, if people have such a hard time understanding what Black Lives Matter means, there's no way they're gonna understand what defund the police means.
Yeah,
really what people should be saying is, okay, if you look at the police budget compared to every other budget in the city,
services, yes,
schools, like even shit like roads,
right.
like how many potholes we got on the street right now? Right. But cops can roll around with motherfucking tanks and grenade launchers. They don't need that shit. They don't need that's the thing too. Like when you're talking about like the demilitarization of police is really what's needed. Listen.
Okay, there we go. Somebody should have. Why didn't they call LC? Because fund is like.
I'm as people know by now. I'm from the Bronx, right? I'm from Bronx, New York, where all kinds of stigmas about the Bronx, which some based in reality, a bunch not. But either way, I've seen a lot of things in my life. I have never seen an instance where police need a grenade launcher. Ever. Fucking ever. I've never seen an incident where the grenade launcher or the tank was necessary.
Right.
Ever. So explain to me why police have them. That's what we need to. You don't need that to police the community. You do not need that. And on top of that, when you see things like I know a bunch of school teachers personally, when they're buying pencils themselves.
Oh, I used to teach.
They're the ones buying supplies for their students.
I was buying supplies for my students, supplies for me, right? I mean, I was having to go to get copies at Kinko's because we had 1 or 2 copy machines in the whole freaking school. And by the time every teacher's trying to use it, you can't use it. I mean, it was horrible.
But the cops have tanks. Kids don't have notebooks, but the cops have tanks. That's what we're trying to tell people. It's like, yo, listen, you could even siphon off 5 to 10% of the police budget and just accelerate so many other things in the community by a ton.
Yeah.
That's what we're really saying. Like, I know there's the extreme people just like, get rid of all the police. And I'm just like, relax.
I haven't seen a whole lot of people saying that.
No, it's not a lot. It's not a lot. But you always have the extreme cases.
But defund the police sounds that way. And so
it does.
I'm like, they need to change the name. The naming of it is going to make it very difficult. Everything is a marketing game too. Even movements.
Because the problem is, to your point, I'm seeing Trump ads now talking about Joe Biden wants to get rid of the police, and it's just like,
that's what they're playing out here in California.
Oh,
yeah.
But
let me ask you this: speaking of movements and the Black Lives Matter movement, a lot of people are saying that the Black Lives Matter movement has been co-opted by other people and other causes, and so it's being muddied by all this other stuff. I wanted to know, like, what do you think about that?
Okay, so this could go a couple of ways. But all right, so sadly, when you say go into other things, the thing that I seem to notice a lot, especially on social media, is that the Black Lives Matter movement sometimes ends up as infighting amongst ourselves on social media, where it ends up being black women versus black men versus black women, black men versus the trans community, and it continues to just muddy the water in the sense that, guys, we're all in this together, man. And it's my life doesn't matter more than my wife's life. My life doesn't matter more than, there's been a string of trans women who've been murdered that are getting almost no.
It is horrible.
That are getting no press.
No press.
Whatsoever.
And it's happening like daily.
I'm seeing now, you know, black people then infighting with like Afro Latinos, and it's like, guys, we're never going to get anywhere as a collective if we just keep fighting with ourselves first. Because it's like now I want to make it a point to say that there are internal biases in our community that need to be addressed.
Absolutely.
There are. So I'm not putting this out there to say just wash all of these conversations away. No, there are conversations that need to be had.
But I think
feminism is a conversation that needs to be had, but I don't want it to take away from the fact that it's like, guys, all this infighting that we're doing, the establishment that we're fighting against doesn't give a fuck about any of that.
And actually do things to ensure that we are separate so we can't be successful. I mean, I feel like it should be like a family, right? Black folks. You might have people in your family that you're like, you might have dysfunction. Well, you do have dysfunction. If you have a family, there's some dysfunction, right? Because we're people all trying to live together. And I might have some issues and I might be fighting with one of my kids or whatever. But if, let's say, a teacher is not treating my child fairly, right? I'm not going, we're going to handle this issue first as a united front. And so what kills me is just all the energy that we put in about our fights against, you know, major issues like police brutality and things like that. But yeah, I agree. But do we have issues we need to talk about? Absolutely. Absolutely. We have issues. Of course we have issues. Ton.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's like in the most toxic cases, I've seen certain factions of people say, well, then like, fuck that. I'm not even representing, you know, people. Like, if you want to fight with me about this, then why should I, you know, fight? Like, I've literally seen conversations where, you know, black women don't feel protected by black men. And then there's a lot of scenarios where black men say fuck shit about black women. But then it then turns into a conversation where I've seen comments, well, then the next time one of y'all get murdered, I ain't gonna say nothing about it. I'm just like, guys.
Wow.
We don't have time for any of this. Like, we really don't have time for any of this. Do we all need to check our own implicit biases about certain things? Absolutely. But it shouldn't be to the detriment of everyone.
And also think about the way we've been trained to think about ourselves in the world, right? You know, what I always tell people is, I actually just posted a video right as I was on the phone and doing everything. I posted a video just a few minutes ago about like shopping. Why don't we support black businesses? And I was like, we need to take a moment to understand that we've been trained our entire lives to believe that white is superior. As much as we say black is beautiful, as much as we love ourselves, we are the main ones trying to rock some name brands, white owned companies, and we're the main ones oftentimes to dog a black, you know, business. We automatically think that something's nicer because it says Gucci or Versace or whatever the brands are that people are wearing. I'm not up on it because I don't roll like that. But we've got to decolonize our brains. We have to say, you know, I've been taught this and make better decisions, right? And so what I was, you know, talking about on the video is yes, we do have this major Black Lives Matter movement that needs to happen, but we need to tell ourselves Black Lives Matter, like not just the world. I'm like, within us, Black Lives Matter, all of us matter. And how do we get some places? So I do hope that we are working on our own revolution within our own community. And not dogging each other. We were talking about Herman Cain. I posted an article on Facebook yesterday, and this woman asked a question, and I snapped. She said, you know, how do we know that Herman Cain got the virus at the convention? And I'll say part of what I have to do is, most of the time, I think I can honestly own that I really try to treat my brothers and sisters respectfully, even when they get on my nerves or ask a question I don't like or whatever. And I snapped on this woman. I did. I was like, common sense and da-da-da, like kind of what we were just saying. And bless her. I am so thankful and grateful to her. I don't know if she'll probably will never see this, but I'm so grateful because she came back to me and just was like, it talked to me sisterly. It was like, I just asked a question. Right. And I was just really trying to figure this out. And you snapped on me and I had, and it was unfair and I wasn't right. I was just, angry. You know, I was just, you know, wrapped up in, you know, I'm like, people are dying. I mean, I'm hoping people are seeing that people are dying because of some bullshit, right? And so I'm angry about that. I'm watching the you know, the funeral stuff yesterday. I'm just in my, you know, stuff. But I really appreciated the sister. We had an exchange where it was like, you know, I forgive you. And I'm like, and that's the thing I say on my site. I was like, if you love Black people and you say you love Black people, then treat Black people like you love them, right? And so there is that revolution. I hope that happens and we stop beating up on each other. Doesn't mean we can't disagree, but we can't beat up on each other. Continue to do that.
No, it's funny you were mentioning, you know, you were bringing up the point, because it all falls together, but you're bringing up the point about like supporting like Black business, for example. And I think it's not even just the fact that we, you know, elevate, you know, communities outside of our own more. We give each other such a short leash when it comes to making mistakes. Because like, for example, I remember one time I ate at Panera Bread. There was a roach in my sandwich.
Oh, hell no.
Guess where LC didn't eat no more? Panera Bread. But Panera Bread sales ain't hurting because LC didn't have it. But I guarantee you, if this was a Black restaurant and you found a roach in your food, you might as well shut the building down. Because like they'll tell everybody just like, yo, see, this is why you guys doing shit shitty and yada, yada, yada. Whereas we don't even give each other the leeway of making mistakes where things aren't going to always be perfect. But that doesn't mean that we just throw away the whole like, I mean, maybe I'm all over the place right now, but like I literally had a conversation with my wife earlier, and it was a point that I think Charlemagne the guy made a long time ago, where it's like, in this current climate, we would never allow Detroit Red to become Malcolm X. And it's just like, we would never allow somebody to atone for anything wrong that they've done to then do things, you know, better. Or if there's any of those, like I'm sure by now people have heard like the rumors about, you know, MLK and his extracurricular activities with women, etc. In this current era, that would have been on the fucking Shade Room and just undermined everything that he was trying to do. It's like, we don't give each other the space to
be human.
Yes.
Just to be human. And that's what I appreciate about that sister. It's so funny because you know, like people get mad at me and, you know, they'll stop following. And my friend said, you know, if people were reading the Washington Post or the New York Times or People magazine or whatever, Elle magazine or whatever the magazines people read, you know, majority white run magazines, they won't get mad that they don't see a Black face in that magazine or on that periodical. And they will keep following it. But let you post something that they don't like, right? One article that I say I don't like, no, and not just unfollow, but write you a letter letting you know, like, I just want you to know I don't unfollow you because I ain't like. And it's like, we are so hard. Like, don't get me wrong, I appreciate the feedback. Like, Randy, you messed up, because I do. But we are so hard on each other. Like, there is I told you when I started the thing, it was like, no, you can't, you're too light to have this show, or there's all these things, all these hoops that we make each other jump through to prove just our Blackness, our goodness, our perfectness, that we don't put other groups through. And then we got the other groups dogging us as well. So the pressure just to be halfway anything is tough. And I do wish that you could just find, which is what I think we're trying to create, this safe place that you can disagree. So like when we were talking about Herman Cain, Black Republicans I'm fine with them, right? I want to know that you are not Black because you're Republican. But if you are a Republican who backs a racist, and I am sick of people trying to tiptoe around the fact that Trump is a racist. Now, if you're a person who is because I do not mess with people who do not mess with Black people. I do not mess with you if you are anti-Black, even if you're Black. So if you're Black and don't mess with Black people and you're not for Black people, I don't fuck with you at all. Like that's it. Like, cause that's my core. And so, you know, but outside of that, I'm not going to say, oh, that person's not Black enough because they, you know, whatever.
Right, because if this was the Republicans from a different era, like shit, if I was a millionaire I might get down with that fiscal responsibility shit too. It's like, hey man, I'm trying to keep my taxes low too, baby. But when they started venturing into that Tea Party direction, which that was definitely a fork in the road. Tea Party was definitely a fork in the road, which pushed them further and further and further. We are now having a different conversation.
Yeah.
We are no longer arguing about the economy.
Right.
We're no longer arguing about big government versus small government. Like I shouldn't have to explain to people how you can't like. Sorry, people, when I'm all over the place like this. But it's like I remember because I watch Fox News just to either torment myself or get a laugh. I do, but I remember one time they were talking. I think they were talking about when the caravan was coming up. Which, by the way, whatever happened to the scary caravan? But we can get back to that. But they said people in the caravan are from different Mexican countries. And I was like,
stop lying. You lying on them, LC. You lying on them.
I was like, different Mexican. I only thought there was one Mexico. The only other Mexico I know of is called New Mexico. So, but it's just like they ventured into a place that it's just that like you guys are just perpetuating these ideas, and it's just like it's. And I'm not saying that I feel bad for. It's not saying that I feel bad for the group that votes for Trump, but it's like they played you guys perfectly. They literally fed you every fear you have.
That's what it's so based on fear.
They fed you everything that you are scared of. And then it just made you just run to their side and say, like, listen, protect me from all that scary shit you were talking about when almost none of it is real.
And the stuff that you should be scared of, you're not scared of. Real quick, I watch Fox News. It drives me. I can't do it long because it just drives me crazy.
My wife hates it.
It drives me, but I like to watch just to see what the other side is saying, like you. And it was so funny. I think it was 2 days ago. Like they had so much just bad shit happening. The numbers of Corona, everything was bad. Do you know what they talked about? I swear, for an hour, some woman got eaten by a shark.
Yeah.
And they when I tell you they could have made a Jaws movie in the time they talk, because they are so trying to distract, because I was like, they could not find anything positive that's happening. So they were like, they talked about the shark attack. They had a whole fucking panel. Real story. Panel talking about the shark attack. Like they were like, we got to distract. Look at this shiny object. Look at this shiny object.
They actually do, like, because here's what I do. They do that a lot. And I know that because like I literally, within like 3 or 4 channels of each other, like on my cable is MSNBC, CNN, Fox News. They're all lumped together. So I'll always notice when MSNBC and CNN are talking about one subject, then I'll quickly turn to Fox News. Yeah. And they're talking about some completely other shit.
Yeah.
They're like at the same time William Barr was testifying, they're talking about some shit about China. I'm like, dog, we're not worried about China right now. I'm worried about William Barr sending federal authorities to fucking Portland just to go beat up on people. Like, I literally just saw a video of the NYPD just snatch a protester off a bike and throw them in a van. I don't care about China right now, bro.
Yeah, could care less. We got our issues. Which, speaking of China and actually all the countries in the world, we can't go nowhere. The American passport is shit. That's the last thing I want to bring up for this week. The American, like, here we are. This man is talking about shithole countries and how great America, they're going to make America great again. We can't go anywhere. Everybody is like, anybody could come visit us but Americans. Like, and these are countries that, this is what I want people to understand. These are countries that are poor. Like, their number one industry is tourism.
Yep.
They depend on us for everything. And they're like, we don't give a damn. We'll die. We will die. Don't y'all bring your American asses over here. Like that. Do you know how bad you have to be for people to turn your money away? Like, no, that's all right. Don't come.
Well, I see it firsthand because obviously, for a large part of this pandemic, New York was the fucking epicenter, right? So we've been passed by Florida. Shout out to you guys for being
Florida's number one.
Florida and California passed us, which
Okay, but the thing is that we have a lot of numbers in California.
You guys are huge, so it's fine.
Yeah, we're big.
But
yeah.
I remember when just very recently, when Governor Cuomo was putting out a list of, if you came from these other states, you need to quarantine for 14 days. And it started at 4 states. Then it went to like 11 states. Then it went to like 31 states. And it's like, he might have just wrote America. If you come from America, you need to quarantine for 14 days. Because you guys are fucking bugging. Like, you guys are bugging. Like,
it's crazy. Yeah. So, yeah, our passport is crap.
There's one last thing I want to say about the attitudes, because I see a lot of...
About what?
One last thing I want to say about the virus.
Oh, yes.
I see a lot of people making comparisons to the 1918 flu, right? Where if you look at the death toll of the 1918 flu, it's a lot higher than the coronavirus. I was like, but guys, guess what? We're a lot better at science now. That's why. So we're
the average lifespan was totally different.
And the scientists are telling you, hey, this is how we keep the numbers down. But you guys are the ones that are literally trying to spit in the scientist's face because you want to do what you want. It's like people won't be satisfied until we get 1918 flu numbers all over again, and there's 10, 15 million people dead. There's no need for that. There's no need for that when literally a piece of cloth in front of your face could just do wonders. It could just do wonders for you. Like, it's very simple. It's very simple.
No, but people's rights now. People's rights.
I love bars just like you guys. I love drinking. But guess what? It's not enough to die.
And I love socializing. I'm a social person. I love socializing, but...
It's not enough to die over it. It's not.
Yeah. Well, all right. Anything else for the week? I think we've covered the week pretty well.
Listen, I think I've raised my decibel level enough for today.
Yes. You know what, though? At least it makes you feel a little bit alive because we can't do anything to get that excitement. So, you got to do what we got to do. Any more versus battles coming up? Because I thought that the two dogs, I thought DMX and Snoop Dogg was excellent.
It was like so far for me. I'm a Carib, so my number one was Buju versus Beanie Man. That was the greatest.
That was ridiculous.
That was the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Yes, that was excellent.
You got Fred Hammond, Kirk Franklin. I love that too.
That's the only one I didn't watch.
DMX versus Snoop Dogg was fantastic because I'm also a huge. I'm a rapper, so of course that's my thing. I think coming up is Rick Ross and 2 Chainz.
Oh, that's coming up.
Yeah, that's coming up. So I'm excited.
Jill and Erica's my favorite because that was just all cocoa butter, black women, shea butter, syndicate. That was my it.
I love the fact that Jill and Erica were basically singing each other's songs at the same time too, because it's like
they were loving on each other.
They dispelled the myth because for years people tried to paint it as if they had issues with each other. No, they don't. They love each other. It's great.
Right.
Great.
Well, anytime I see the black love in action, I'm loving it. Just like I thought DMX and Snoop Dogg, they were loving on each other. Snoop Dogg was like, you got to play my song. Like, I love to see, if nothing else, are us loving each other and making it and normalizing us loving each other and not being hard, just normalizing that. I think it's a beautiful thing.
And I'm just happy to see DMX not in trouble. It's fantastic.
Oh, yeah. I was like, a little round DMX. It was good to see him.
I'll take the round DMX.
Absolutely. Yeah. Prayers for that, brother. I'm happy to see it.
Since that he was doing before. I'll take it.
Well, listen, we'll holler at y'all next week.
Absolutely.
Be safe until then.
Wear a mask.
Yeah, wear a mask, please, people. And make sure, you're getting ready to vote. We got 93 days or something?
Absolutely.
And if you're voting by mail, you have even fewer days than that.
We're voting by mail, and Trump is not delaying the election. Don't care what he says. Go vote.
No, he's not. Don't even pay attention to that.
All right, y'all.
All right, guys. Peace. Talk to you. Have a good one.